Hey yo, it's the LifeShot podcast. Change your world and change the world.
Hello everyone, this week's episode is brought to you by our friends at Phoenix Fitness. Check out phoenix-fitness.com. Phoenix Fitness prides itself in helping normal people achieve their goals in the privacy of their own homes, whilst providing value for money training accessories and cool items to make you look the part at gym.
Hey everybody, welcome to LifeShot podcast. Again, I got my two friends, Jamie and Lee. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Excellent. Doing good.
Very good. Yeah, and if you missed the previous podcast with Jamie and Lee, Jamie's in Sweden at the moment with his family. Lee, I forget which part of the USA you're in at the moment.
Nation's capital, brother. Not Washington, D.C.
Washington, okay. Cool.
Yep.
And I'm in England, close to Cambridge, so we're from all over the world here. Now, what brings us together, for the people who don't know, is that we're all starting to be health coaches. And because we shared our journeys last time, and in what we're doing, we've learned so much as we've been going on this journey studying. We are starting to really think about how we as well personally change as we go through this process. And it might help some people who are listening to say, how do I make changes in life? How do I go from bad habits to good habits? How do I make changes that can stick? How do I make it my new lifestyle? And in our training, we're talking about beliefs, behaviors, and identity. But correct me if I'm wrong, is it behavior first? Because that's what the first thing I want to talk about. It's behavior first, doing something, and then your beliefs change, and then your identity changes. Is that the way you guys understand it?
Jamie, do you want to go first, or
trick question?
Right.
Yeah, I think it's, for me anyways, it starts with realizing, okay, I have to change. You could do something 100 times, but if there's no reason or why behind it, there's no purpose for it, then chances are you're not going to do it. I brush my teeth because I want to have clean teeth, right? So for me, it starts with that initial. You realize you have to change, so you have that belief that, hey, if in order for me to get clean teeth, I'm brushing these things, and then you create your habit afterwards. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of the same thing. I see it as you have a belief of something, and whatever that belief is, then the behavior, whether it's programmed or reprogrammed, follows that belief. But I think what makes the behavior long lasting is the identity and how that changes. That's what I think makes a long lasting behavior. And obviously identity I think your identity can change over time, or depending on what you're identifying with and telling yourself is your identity. So, if I want to be healthy by doing workouts, I believe that, okay, then I'm a person who works out. Now I believe it. I've kind of put that identity in. Now I have to do the behavior to make all of that follow through.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that as a runner, for example. So somebody who wants to, people think that running would help them lose weight, and we know that it can. But if they're stressed out, eating the wrong things, or maybe if they're eating the right things, but eating at the wrong times, they're stressed out, and they're running and they're not losing weight, but they want to run because they want to lose weight. So their identity is not yet that they're a runner necessarily, and maybe they want to be a runner, but they're running, but they don't necessarily identifying as a runner, if you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you could say, well, I'm going to go run now because that's what I do. I'm a runner. I run. But not everyone identifies like it when they first start. When they first start, it's, I want to run because I want to achieve certain results. So that's the behavior. And then it's the believing that if I do this, a certain result's going to come about. and the belief that if I continue doing this behavior, I will become identified in myself as a runner. So I think it's about that self-identity, like, who am I? Oh, yeah, I'm a person who runs. I'm a runner, and I think you don't have that. You don't have that straight away. You don't have that, like, I'm going to start running tomorrow for the first time. And someone asks you, who are you? What do you do? Oh, I'm a runner. No, you're not yet. I don't think so. What do you think about that?
I would agree with that because a lot of the different events that I've done with the training, it requires running. I have never identified as a runner,
Right.
but I've run a half marathon. So people would say, "Oh yeah, you're a runner." No, I don't identify as that, and that's not a belief that I have. That's just part of the belief of me being a triathlete. So I get where you're saying the belief is not always there before the behavior, Um,
Can we drill down further into that? Because that's interesting, because
sure.
you identify as a triathlete, actually.
Yes.
But part of your triathlete persona or identity is that you do run, but you don't necessarily identify as a runner.
As a runner. I would say I don't identify as a runner. I don't identify as a swimmer. I might identify as a biker, but not a cyclist because I commute by bike. So the identity is definitely the triathlete portion, not the individual pieces of it, for sure. Again, those are the means to the end. So the end is competing and completing the triathlon. The individual pieces themselves, those I don't know. I guess those are the behaviors in order to complete the triathlon, but that's not the identity for that.
So how about this, Jamie? Mindset, for example. We want to identify as a great coach to help other people. What, in your mind, what did you have to tell yourself on a daily basis in your mindset to say, I am going to identify with that eventually as being a great coach to help other people? How have you spoken your way into that?
Yeah, I think, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, Lee, but I think it could be similar to what you experienced on a triathlon. Like, you're not running for those first, 2 miles. Like, you have your end goal in sight. So the whole through your swim, or, and similar to like some cycling races I've done, like, I'm not doing it for the first sprint to see who's getting the first breakaway group. Like, I'm doing it for the end goal. And so, through that whole process, that's all I can think about. And so for me, with coaching and just being in school right now and going through just all the training and then looking at my life and, okay, what have I done that I can help others? And then, I'm constantly like, okay, identifying basically with myself, 3 months out. Like, I'm not identifying with who I am now, nor would I, see any fruit in that. Cause like, I'm trying to, like, some people say, like, manifest. Like, I'm manifesting the person I'm going to become. And
visualizing the future person.
Yeah, totally. You're like, when you're racing, it's like you're visualizing that end, that finally you've passed that finish line, and that's who you are right now, halfway through the race. And so for me with coaching, it's like, I'm going to be an incredible coach, and I'm going to help change the lives of so many asthmatics, because that's who I am. That's the hard work and the habits that I'm created in my life to put a program together to be able to, help people. So, and that's kind of like, even with me parenting or me being a husband, it's like, today was a great example. I was a terrible, frustrated person. Like, today just kicked my butt, but I was sitting down.
All been there. All been there.
Every parent's like, yeah, like, been there, done that. And today I was just sitting at the playground with my kids, and like, I had to stop, and like, it hit me, like, this question came into my brain of like, who are you? And I was like,
Good
you know,
question.
yeah, because it's like it made me realize, like, if we don't have a like foundational understanding of who we are, then all we are is just like products of like the circumstances. Like, we're just frustrated people, or we're just constantly consumed and overwhelmed by life, or by parenting, or marriage stuff, like, and so, like, with coaching, I'm like, hey, who am I? Like, what kind of coach am I? And even if I'm not that person right now, that's who I'm going to become. So I'm constantly just like, yeah, this is who I am, this is who I am, and just speaking out who I want to become, really.
Can I throw a little curveball in here?
Yeah.
And it's not because it's against what you're saying, but think about this. I listened to Ben Pakulski, that bodybuilding guy. He's like a Mr. Olympia. And he said this, which really struck me. He said that you should create avatars of yourself for certain situations. So, for example, if you're going to spend time with your kids, so you put the persona on as the dad that you want to be, and you say, this is the dad. I'm switching to dad mode now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you dad. Yeah. And then you're best dad you can be. And then you're like, all right, I want to go train now. And then you switch to beast mode. Yeah. Then you got your beast avatar on, and you go and be the beast in training. And then when you're at work,
all right,
you put that avatar on. So he says you gotta create these avatars, create these personas that you step into every time you step into a different environment. And that's like the identity. You still have maybe a single identity, because I am who I am, but I am these people in these situations. What do you guys think about that? Does it help?
Go for it, Lee.
Confuse things.
Oh, sure. Give me the tough one. Give me the tough one. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think it's not necessarily like these different identities. It's the different parts of the full identity for
like
the
that.
situation. You know?
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it boils down to, well, I think we kind of talked about this pre-podcast, right? And I had some notes that I was thinking about. I think it ties into what you were saying, Clint, about these different avatars, right, for the different situations. But it kind of fits with what Jamie was saying too, where it's kind of boils down to choice, right? You can choose at a certain time when we're coming up, when we're younger. We don't really think about the choice. We're listening to what we're being taught by whoever, right? But as we get more mature, or as we get older, and now as adults, right, as fathers, husbands, friends, brothers, whatever, just maybe productive adults, let's call it, right? We are making certain choices, but we're choosing things based on either what our identity was, or like Jamie was saying, he's speaking into existence who he's going to be as a coach. Yeah. So that's a choice you're making, right? You're not choosing to let the coaching come to you. You are choosing your identity with the belief that this is the kind of coach I'm going to be, So it's with those different avatars, right? Okay, I'm choosing to put my beast mode avatar on. There we go. I'm choosing to put my dad avatar, my husband avatar, and then within that, you're choosing what type of or how well that avatar is going to come across. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If the avatar is just there, okay, is that the best avatar you can be, or do you want to upgrade it? Do you want to enhance it? Do you want to, what's that going to take? And those are all choices. But if you stick with what you know and stick with your current path, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's not the best choice. Maybe that's not the best avatar for that situation. Yeah. So, I think it's those are kind of all tied together, especially I can speak from, well, I guess you guys are definitely part of that too with Western culture, right? Especially here in the States. There's this programmed thing of who we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be, depending on, um, what area of the country you're from, or, you know, the I got to go with the whatever your race is or your age, you're expected, stereotyped into being
Okay.
X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
right? So you can choose to keep believing that. And then if you keep believing that, many times your behavior then proves that, yes, this is it's showing that's who you are.
Hmm.
But then you can make a choice as you learn or mature to, well, I don't want to be that. So if I'm going to choose to change, then I'm identifying with something different. So once I identify with something different, wow, okay, how do I get from there to here, right?
Mm.
How do I become, what behaviors do I need? I believe I want to be that. I want to
Mm.
identify as that, but now I have to choose to get there.
Behave in that
So
way. Yeah.
yeah, so I think the choice is the most powerful part of all three of those: the identity, belief, and behavior. It's a choice, even though people don't think they have a choice. Like we all have a choice
Yep.
on what kind of coaches we're going to be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I can just go through the training course and let it fall in my lap, and oh yeah, people are going to call me and people are going to see my website, and yeah, all right, then I'll see what happens. That is a choice, right?
Yeah.
or or I can choose to work with you guys now, continue to, be the best possible coach I can be throughout the training.
Mm-hmm.
And as again, going back to Jamie's, I'm speaking it in into existence, right? This
Yeah.
is who I see myself in 3 months. So I'm choosing that. I'm identifying with that. I'm not there right now, but my behavior is pushing me towards that.
So
So
yeah. So
complete
Jamie,
choice.
when you identify with yourself in the future, is that your daily practice, and how do you do that? Is it in the morning through a certain sequence, or is it just constantly thinking about it? What do you do?
Um, yeah, I do it every day. I started a couple months ago, and the key is find your like, people say mantra. Find your life statement, your mission statement, your goals, whatever.
Mhm.
You got to develop that first. Find out who you are. Like when I was sitting on the playground looking at like how shitty of a dad I was today and frustration I had, I was like, hold on. No, no, no. I know who I am because I've gone through this process. So you got to find out who you are first. And that's your key. And then, yeah, I do it every day. So typically my mornings are, wake up around 5:30. And I'm at the gym in the morning, and there's an awesome sauna. So I sit after my workout, I sit in the sauna for like 10 minutes, and I just like literally speak out loud, this is who I am, and
Mm-hmm.
this is my slogan, and this is my mission statement, and I just like keep telling myself this is who I am. And it's like my superpower. It really is like a superpower, because the funny thing is when you do that, like today, for example, if you're feeling like a terrible person, okay, if you speak like life into that situation, the first thing for me anyways that comes into my mind is like, that's not who you are. Like, look what you
Yeah.
just did. Look at your past.
Mhm.
No, no, no.
Mhm.
You're not that
Mhm.
person. And that's like, in school, it's teaching us about this thing called the critter brain. And it's a part of our brain that just literally hates all change. If we want to commit to a coaching plan, if we want to change our lifestyle, if we want to become a triathlon, like triathlete, like it doesn't want that. It wants you to stay safe and just stay in the norm and don't change. So when you speak these things like who you want to become, it's like this thing in your brain is like, no, 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 that's not who you are. And you just have to constantly beat that thing down, because
Mm.
the more you do it, the more you're training your brain how to think. And
Yeah.
so that's why just like repetition has been key. Like every
Mhm.
single day I'm like, no, I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. And then, and you speak it out loud, you write it down. And then then the cool thing is you start to believe that. And then when you start to believe that, that's when you start to make those changes in your life, or you start to act that way, because that's who you start to see yourself as. And that's like,
interestingly, as a Christian, I used to do that when I was in that Christian mode of I am a child of God, I am this, I am that.
yeah.
And I think Christians have that the benefit of understanding that concept. If you're not a Christian and you're listening, then you might have a similar concept. I read a book recently, but you may never have heard this concept before, where you start to speak about who you are, or you identify with something that you might not be just yet. There's a book I was reading, Suzanne Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And in the book, she talks about these positive affirmations. Now, a positive affirmations is a thing that we're hearing about more and more now, if you're a person who listens to podcasts and self-development podcasts. And in the book, she says, one of her lines is, and I love this line, it's, you say to yourself, I am powerful and I am loving. I am powerful and I'm loved. I am powerful and I'm loving it. And you repeat those three things. So let's say you're having somebody puts you down, and just in your head, well, they put me down. No, I am powerful and I'm loved. And, just identifying with that and saying that about yourself is obviously a powerful thing. And you start to believe that. And then further on, she talks about other things like you say to yourself, a positive affirmation could be, I know that I count for something and I act as if I do. So I count for something and I act as if I do. And she always says that your positive affirmation should be as in the present, not saying I will fight fear when it comes my way. No, I am fighting fear now when it comes my way. So it's a something of a now. It's happening now. So when you formulating affirmations about yourself, put it in the present tense and say, I am powerful and I am loving. So it's a now thing as a positive affirmation. Pretty cool.
I think that's really powerful. Like you just touched on, putting it in the present, right?
Yeah.
If you try to put it in the future, you're giving yourself an out to possibly not do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a choice that you want to make. But if you put it in the present, you're going to be accountable. You're making yourself be accountable and stand up for you right then and there. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And you begin to believe it. You begin to believe in yourself. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is my purpose. This is what I'm about. I like that. That's a huge concept of putting it in the present.
Yeah.
Lee, when you do your triathlons, do you like pre-hand go through like, okay, I'm gonna do this part's gonna be difficult for me? Like, do you pre-meditate the challenges that you think are gonna happen and kind of work out a plan on how to overcome?
All the time. I think you can term them differently. I call it visualizing, right?
Yeah.
Visualizing the race. And because I'm with the triathlon, I'm a weaker swimmer. In my opinion, I'm a weaker swimmer. So I will visualize, every stroke, every meter until the end. But I also visualize myself getting out, then running into the transition area. I visualize, okay, I'm gonna put, change the gear, get on the bike, visualize every part of it. But interestingly enough, what happens throughout the race is, well, again, for me, I can't speak for everybody, but I'd be willing to bet that a lot of people do this. I'll be in the water swimming, and I've been through pretty cold water. I've been through choppy water, and first 100 meters, you know what? Is that a big deal if I don't finish? Is it like, I'll put my hand up. Yeah, come pull me out. Like, why am, okay, no, Lee, you know what? You've trained for this. You're good. So I'm already in my head, constantly talking myself out of the negative thoughts and putting the positive thoughts of, wait a minute. No, I've done this before. Okay. If it was easy, then everybody would do it, but it's not easy. And I'm choosing to keep going. Oh, wait, I've already got 200 meters. Okay, keep going. Then it gets to a point of, yeah, go to the next buoy, go to the next, whatever I need to do to accomplish it. That's what I end up doing. And then before you know it,
Micro
you're out.
goals.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because it's propelling you forward.
Yeah.
I'm not stopped, I'm not stuck, or I'm not moving backwards. You know, it's moving forward. Even and so the bike and the run may not be as difficult, but it's okay. You know what mile am I at? Okay,
Mhm.
what speed am I? That kind of thing. But putting the positive thought of moving forward in, but also not thinking like I want to tie it back to what Clint was saying about putting it in the present, right? I'm not thinking about the final destination. I'm not thinking about finishing the entire race, or I'm not thinking about finishing that leg of it. I'm thinking about, okay, how do I feel right now?
Mhm.
Can I continue? Yes. Okay, keep going. I try to stay in the present. If I let my mind wander to the future of, all right, well, I've got 12 miles to go. Oh, damn. That's, not going to
Killer.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that'll be easier
Mm.
to go ahead and quit and give up. So, just the trying into putting it in the present of, yep, I've done more miles than this. I've trained for this. How do I feel? Okay, yeah. No, the body's no. Okay, I need some energy. Okay, fine, but keep going. Are you injured? Oh, you're just tired? Okay, then keep going.
Yeah.
But always staying in the present with it keeps me moving forward.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any
Which
thought?
I will say that I've actually I try to apply that to other parts of life. Honestly enough,
Uh-huh.
uh, it's the mental aspect of it really comes in handy when I start thinking about even with the training course, right? Life got kind of hectic a couple months ago, but I'm like, okay, I have time here, so yeah, I've scheduled this time to do some coursework. So open up the laptop, do the coursework. You
Uh-huh.
know, why would I quit? Is it too difficult? No. Is it something that I can't do? No. So then why you're not doing it? Oh, then do it.
Yeah.
And just every little bit and piece that I can take from that to put in other parts of my life, I try to. And
Mhm.
it's weird how it works. In a positive way. In a
Yeah.
positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got one thing I think we end off on this. It's been great talking to you guys, and I want to just throw out a little something here, which I think you'd agree with, and everyone would, is that I want to talk about positive thinking. Okay. And it's similar to affirmations, right? In the book as well. So I've been quite affected by this book in a way, and I've always known that I wanted. My wife says to me, "Just be positive." I'm like, "Yes, be positive," and then I kind of tend back towards negativity again, and it's so easy to go back to the negative because it's. And I was listening. I was actually talking to a guy yesterday, James Preston, who I interviewed, and he said that he said something which I thought, oh yeah, that's true, because he said back in the day, if we were like in the bushes and we were hunting or something and we heard a noise, we think automatically danger. So we're thinking about the negative. We're almost programmed in a way to think about the negative, to assume the negative first and then go with that until otherwise proven wrong. But what she said in the book was that positivity and positive thinking is actually something that you have to exercise like a muscle. So if I don't work out this body, the muscles are going to get weaker. They're not going to be as toned, but I have to constantly work at making this thing strong and fit and able. And it's the same with positivity. It has to be worked out. And when you find yourself that you're slacking, you have to get back on that and start being positive again. What do you guys, what's your take on positive thinking and how does it affect us, the negative side of life and such?
Man, yeah, I'm a natural born optimist, so I'd be the guy in the bushes who, when I heard something, I'd think it's something I can kill and eat. So I'd be running out there, and
Oh, you're blessed, man.
maybe my kind would have died off long ago. But
Hey, Clint, did you hear what happened to Jamie? He went to the bushes, man, and
He's
the
gone.
thing got him. Yeah.
that saber-toothed tiger, he fought with the.
He got one tooth though, but yeah,
I think for me, it's my default, and which is opposite to some other people I know. Like it's easier for me to think positively than it is to think negatively. And I don't know if that's because I've just trained, like you were saying, that muscle for so
I
long.
think you might have been training that. Yeah.
for a long time. Yeah, sounds right.
Maybe I'm just really lucky. But for me, what I've kind of been trying to understand is like, I think in negativity, it's like a default because it requires less risk. There's less, if you default think this relationship that you started with somebody or isn't going to work, then you are protecting yourself. You're not going to get injured, so you're less vulnerable. And I don't know if I've never thought of it that way. For me, it's always been my kind of default to be positive. But what I found is like when you're constantly like, if there's something you want to do in life, and you start to apply, like we were talking about, like creating that person today or creating that goal today and seeing that in a positive light, your percentage of success dramatically increases. And the power of positivity is incredible because it's such a contagious, just the same way that negative thoughts are contagious, powerful, or positive thoughts are just as contagious. So for me, it's like that is, like another superpower that I have is like just constantly like creating that positive environment. Because what I find is I've always known people who like, it's just like negative things are attracted to them. Like they have a magnet.
Yep.
And they're just like creating this like negative anything, like anything can happen and it's negative.
Bad things always happen to me type of quotes, right?
Or like, but on the same note, people like, oh, good things always happen to them, or they're so lucky, or they're, and I think it's the same thing, whether it's positive or negative, you're creating that expectation around your life and around that. And if you go in to any kind of relationship or anything, any therapist would say, if you're going into it thinking negatively, you're setting yourself up for failure. So if you're going into a triathlon race, or if you're going into health coaching, or if you're going in to be coached by somebody, if you're doing it and you're just constantly thinking negative, like you're going to get what you're putting into that. And the power of your mental thoughts, like, I mean, the placebo effect is a great example. It's true. Like it creates and it changes the real world, right?
It's almost, it's beyond
Absolutely.
the physical, isn't it? You're kind of emanating an energy field, or at least the vibe. You know what I mean?
Let me throw in a book, because we're sharing great books, but there's one I've been reading from Joe Dispenza called Breaking the Habit of Yourself. And it's similar to what you're talking about, Clint, Clint, about like the power of your thoughts and the power of like creating positivity around yourself or becoming people and breaking the habit of your pattern. And yeah, if this is something you guys are interested in, I think you'd really enjoy it. It's pretty like.
I've got a supernatural book, How to Be Supernatural, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need to get that one you're talking about.
I have to put that on the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. What about you, Lee? You positive guy?
Well, I think so. I try my best. I think you guys have probably heard me say this a lot in this particular discussion. For me, it really boils down to choice. It boils down to choice. I can choose to not be positive, right? But what outcome is that going to achieve for me, right? It's not going to achieve anything for me by being negative. Then the people around me, it's going to make them feel worse. The people that are involved with me with whatever. So I've learned a lot like Jamie. I'm probably more positive, way more positive now than in the past. But I've learned how to exercise that muscle, and choose to be positive, because that delivers so many more outcomes that well, wait a minute. How did I get here? How did this happen to me? Oh, yeah. Well, let's keep going. I mean, instead of being that person like, oh man, actually, if I can share an example with you guys real quick. So, and I'll share a book too, since we're all sharing books.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
It's coming. It's coming. But so the example of the positive thinking that I use now. 2 years ago, a colleague and I had an assignment. I think I may have mentioned it before, in Bermuda, right? He was there for the first 3 weeks, and I was there for the second 3 weeks. I relieved him every day. There was we lived on one end of the island and worked on the other end. So we had to catch a water taxi that took about an hour to get to the other end, right? 8 o'clock every morning. Before the catching the water taxi, there was a couple guys, or not even guys, just a group of camera people, whatever, doing boot camp, 6 a.m. every day. I mean, to me, that's like, wow, that's the life. Are you kidding? In Bermuda doing this every day? So my colleague was there, came back and told all of our colleagues in the office, this trip sucked. Like, I got wet every morning. I was soaked. Then I had to sit in the trailer all day while I was wet. Then it sucked because I had an hour ride on the boat home, and just on and on and on, right? So I relieve him. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. I'm in Bermuda. I'm working. Tough life.
Yeah.
So then, I joined the boot camp crew. We're working out every morning. We get on the water taxi, and one of the guys that was still there for the whole time was like, oh, okay, you replaced so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, wow, you've already said more words to me than he did for 3 weeks. Okay. So the one day I sat in the place where my colleague sat. And yes, I got wet, right? For the whole hour ride there. Soaked. And then the second day I got there, the one guy was like, people are upstairs too. It's like, what? I don't have to sit here? Are you telling me that I could go anywhere on the boat? I don't have to sit in this place where the water is going to soak. He was like, yeah,
Light bulb.
you're allowed to. Oh, okay. Go up on top deck. Man, that was probably the best work trip I've ever had, because we had helicopters that were part of the practice. So they would do a flyby every morning. I'm on the top deck recording the different flybys that the helicopters are doing, so I get back here and I'm telling our colleagues, and I'm posting videos and pictures and whatnot. And they were like, did you work? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't tell you when I was there till 3 a.m. I didn't tell you about the rainstorm and I had to get the taxi on. Those weren't positive stories, right?
Yeah.
But man, the great stuff that happened, of course I was going to share that.
Yeah.
And so everybody was really cracking up, because it was night and day from the same work trip, from his experience and from mine. And I think that I was like, yeah, why am I going to tell you about, oh man, I sat in this one seat and I got soaked day after day after day. Well, I made a choice not to get wet. I mean, I could have gone inside, where the skipper was, whatever, but I went up top and it was fantastic. I mean, I got some meditation done. I got listened to music. I was like, wow, this is not what I expected. And from his point of view, it was a completely negative thing, and he hated it, Yeah. So I only can control the things I can control, right? And I can control how I choose to react to situations. 9 times out of 10, the positive choice makes a better outcome, and I try to do that. So
yeah.
All right. So Lee, share this book then. What book was it that you wanted to share?
The book is called Mind Gym.
Mind Gym, right?
Yeah, I forget the author. I'm about halfway through. It's about a sports psychologist who was normally hired by baseball teams, professional baseball teams, to talk to the different pitchers and players, get them through different hard times. But you can apply. It's not about sports. It's about mindset.
About life, yeah.
It's totally
Awesome,
about mindset. Yeah.
Cool. I want to just get some parting shots. So, Jamie, why don't we start with you? Just if you had something to say in a minute to give someone encouragement about belief, identity, positive thinking, what would you say?
I would say what I kind of talked to myself today about, and I would say, like, focus on who you want to become, not who you are, and start believing that. Take 3 minutes a day, say 3 good things about yourself, and just say that every single day until you start to believe it. Once you start believing it, you start acting like it, and it's that simple. It starts like the greatest thing we have is choices, like what you're saying, Lee, and it's like that's so powerful that we can choose to be positive and choose to see ourselves for something greater than our circumstances. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. And Lee, what would you say?
Wow. Refer back to what Jamie said. Yeah. No,
Yeah, I got to go first, so I got
no, I totally agree. It's if you want to be something better, then choose to be that. You don't have to be stuck with what you think you are. You don't have to be stuck with what people tell you you are. If you want to be something better, if you want to work on something better, you make the choice to do it, and you make the choice to be positive about it, and that outcome will happen for you.
Yeah.
You just have to tell yourself and believe in yourself, and make the choice to do that.
Excellent. Yep. Guys, it's been great talking to you, and I suppose my parting shot would be that there's someone out there who's listened all the way to the end here, and I want to say that there's always hope for a better outcome. There's always hope for a better day, and sometimes you find yourself in a really low place. You might be in a dark place, but just know that you are not broken. You are powerful. Whatever you need to succeed is actually either hidden inside or out of sight at the moment, but it can come out. It's there. You have everything that you need inside in order to overcome the situation, and that can be through certain processes. So take some processes like positive affirmations, breathing exercises, meditation, physical exercise can actually get you in a positive mood as well. Yeah. So there's certain physical acts, mental acts, and spiritual acts that can get you out of dark places and also help you to re-identify as something new. So that would be my little piece of little wisdom there.
All right.
But great. Thanks.
Stuff.
Yeah, Jamie Bauer, Lee Grigsby, it's been great talking to you again on the LifeShot podcast.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.